Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the dramatic developments surrounding the Crimean Bridge, the massive structure connecting Russia to the annexed peninsula of Crimea, and what its repeated strikes mean for the war, for Russia, for Ukraine, and for the bigger strategic picture. The bridge, also called the Kerch Bridge, was built by Russia after the 2014 annexation of Crimea and opened in 2018 as a symbol of Russian control over the peninsula. It stretches across the Kerch Strait and serves both road and rail traffic, linking mainland Russia with occupied Crimea. That dual function gives it huge logistical importance, especially in a war where supply lines are vital. What's happening now is not just an attack on infrastructure, it's an assault on both the function and the symbolism of that bridge. Back in October 2022, the first massive explosion shook the bridge. A section of it collapsed, road lanes were damaged, and the railway section was impacted by flames from a burning fuel train. For Russia, this was not just damage, it was humiliation. The bridge that Moscow claimed was impossible to destroy had just been hit. The incident sent shockwaves across Russia and changed the psychological tone of the war. After that, Russia tightened security around the bridge with anti-drone systems, naval patrols, and smoke screens. But that didn't stop more strikes from coming. In July 2023, another attack damaged lanes on the bridge once again. Traffic was halted for days, and satellite images confirmed visible destruction. Then, in June 2025, came one of the most sophisticated strikes yet, reportedly using underwater drones packed with explosives. The Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, later confirmed it was behind this operation. Each of these attacks follows the same theme. The bridge, once a proud symbol of permanence, has become a symbol of vulnerability. It was meant to show that Crimea was forever tied to Russia. Now it shows that connection can be severed at any time. From Russia's point of view, the bridge is far more than just a piece of infrastructure. It's a lifeline. Supplies, fuel, troops, and ammunition flow through it into Crimea and onward to southern Ukraine. It's also a political statement, proof that Russia can build, control, and defend what it claims as its own. When that bridge gets hit, it sends a message that Russia's control is not absolute. For Ukraine, the calculation is clear. Targeting the bridge weakens Russian logistics, disrupts troop supplies, and forces Russia to reroute materials through longer, riskier paths across occupied southern Ukraine. Each strike costs Russia time, fuel, and money, but beyond the tactical effect, these attacks also deliver a psychological victory for Ukraine, a morale boost for its people and military, and a visible reminder to the world that it can strike deep into Russian-held territory. Each explosion forces Moscow to make choices. Protect the bridge with more troops, more equipment, and more money, or divert those resources elsewhere, like the front lines. Every time the bridge is hit, Russia has to pour money into repairs, adjust logistics, and maintain propaganda efforts to downplay the damage. There's also the issue of pride. The Crimean Bridge was a pet project of Vladimir Putin himself. He personally drove a truck across it during its opening ceremony. Russian media hailed it as an engineering marvel, a declaration that Crimea was forever Russian. Now, every new explosion chips away at that narrative. The bridge no longer represents stability, it represents fragility. After the first explosion in 2022, Russia responded with a wave of missile strikes on Ukrainian cities, calling it retaliation for the attack. That reaction showed how deeply the event struck at Russia's confidence. The Kremlin framed the explosion as terrorism, but that framing did little to mask the sense of vulnerability it exposed. The later strikes demonstrated evolving tactics. Ukraine didn't use the same method twice. The first was a truck bomb, the second involved aerial drones, and the most recent appeared to be underwater drones, showing a clear evolution in technology and intelligence capabilities. That sophistication reflects how Ukraine has adapted to Russian defenses and learned from past operations. Even after every repair, the bridge has never fully regained its original integrity. Structural weaknesses remain, and traffic disruptions have persisted. Each attack causes logistical bottlenecks that ripple through Russian operations in southern Ukraine. Supplies get delayed, equipment shortages worsen, and troop morale drops. For a war that heavily depends on logistics, these cumulative disruptions matter. The symbolism also carries weight internationally. For global audiences, every new explosion is a reminder that the war is not frozen, that Ukraine can strike at the heart of Russian-occupied territory, and that Russia's so-called stronghold is far from secure. For Russia's domestic audience, it's an uncomfortable truth, one that state media struggles to spin. The Kremlin tries to control the narrative by downplaying damage and quickly reopening sections of the bridge, but the repeated hits make denials less convincing. Strategically, this repeated targeting exposes a major vulnerability in Russia's military infrastructure. Despite heavy fortifications, radar systems, naval patrols, anti-aircraft batteries, and even trained dolphins to guard the waters, Ukraine has still found ways to reach and damage the bridge. That forces analysts to ask how secure the rest of Russia's critical infrastructure really is. The Crimean Bridge is both a physical and psychological front line. Every time it's hit, it disrupts not only supply chains but also Russia's confidence in its own defenses. It shakes the illusion of total control that Moscow wants to project. For Ukraine, this is as much about perception as it is about logistics. Every successful hit strengthens its argument that Crimea can and will be reclaimed. Looking at the pattern of attacks, it's clear that Ukraine views the bridge as a long-term strategic target. The goal isn't just destruction, but attrition. To keep pressure constant, to make repairs expensive, to keep Russian engineers and troops occupied, defending something that may never be completely safe again. This tactic forces Russia to spend energy on defense rather than offense. On the Russian side, the bridge has become both a source of pride and paranoia. Protecting it consumes valuable military assets. Russian warships patrol the area constantly, anti-drone nets hang beneath sections of the bridge, and sensors monitor the waters below. Yet despite these defenses, the strikes keep coming. Each successful attack shows that even with near total control of Crimea, Russia cannot guarantee safety. The message to Russia's allies and adversaries alike is clear. High-profile symbols can be targeted, and advanced defenses don't guarantee security. For the Ukrainian public, every strike brings hope. Videos of explosions on the bridge spread rapidly across social media, often accompanied by celebratory reactions. For ordinary Ukrainians who have endured years of bombardment, these images are a sign of resilience and retaliation. Internationally, reactions are mixed. Western countries largely view the attacks as legitimate military actions against a critical military supply route. Russia, however, calls them acts of terrorism. The conflicting narratives reflect the broader divide in how this war is perceived. One side sees liberation, the other sees aggression. But regardless of interpretation, the reality on the ground is that the bridge's repeated damage has real operational consequences. The strikes also expose an economic dimension. The bridge isn't just used by the military. It's vital for civilian trade, transport, and tourism in Crimea. Each closure isolates the peninsula further, tightening Ukraine's strategic goal of making occupation increasingly unsustainable. The cost of maintaining Crimea grows each time the bridge is out of service. And then there's the psychological toll on Crimean residents. Many depend on the bridge for goods, jobs, and travel. Repeated strikes create uncertainty. Will supplies arrive? Will prices rise? Will Crimea be cut off completely? For residents, it's a constant reminder that the peninsula is at the heart of an active war zone. For Russia, defending the bridge has become an obsession. The Kremlin has deployed air defenses, naval forces, electronic warfare, and even smoke screens designed to obscure the structure from satellite and drone surveillance. Despite all these measures, Ukraine has continued to find weaknesses. That persistence demonstrates a high level of intelligence gathering and operational planning. The strikes also illustrate a shift in modern warfare. Precision, technology, and psychological impact can achieve what large-scale assaults once did. Ukraine doesn't need to destroy the entire bridge permanently. It just needs to make it unreliable. In warfare, reliability is everything. When a supply line becomes unpredictable, it forces the enemy into inefficiency. Every new strike adds another layer to this unfolding story, a story of resilience versus control, adaptation versus denial. The bridge stands, but each attack leaves scars. Its surface may be repaired, but its symbolic damage cannot be undone. Every explosion echoes beyond the Kerch Strait, across military command rooms, international media, and the hearts of millions watching. As the war continues, the question isn't whether the bridge will be struck again, but when. Each new hit weakens Russia's image of invincibility. Each new repair tightens the noose of cost and effort. The bridge has become a microcosm of the war itself, a contest of endurance, strategy, and will. For Russia, holding the bridge means holding on to its claim over Crimea. For Ukraine, striking it means proving that occupation can be undone. The two goals are mutually exclusive. And that's why this single structure has become such a powerful symbol in this war. The coming months will be telling. Russia will likely fortify the bridge further, perhaps even build alternative supply routes. Ukraine, meanwhile, will continue to innovate, finding new ways to hit it without risking too much escalation. The bridge will remain in the crosshairs, not just physically but politically and symbolically. Whatever happens next, one thing is certain. The Crimean Bridge has transformed from a monument of conquest into a monument of resistance. What once represented unbreakable control now stands as proof that nothing in this war is beyond reach. EP being hit, or will Russia finally secure it for good? Let's talk about it in the comments. See you in the next one.